What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. So these are the things we cannot allow in the sport of boxing when you fighters in the sport of boxing. We got to stand for something. If we don't stand for something, we'll fall for anything, right? With that said, we all know the stance that the pound for pound king, 5-division champion, 3-division undisputed champion, first ballot Hall of Famer once he retires, superstar boxer, Terence Bud Crawford took in not paying the World Boxing Council, better known as the WBC, that extra sanctioning fees they was looking to get paid, which they stated that Terence Crawford owes $300,000. Well, first of all, let me say this. Terence Crawford is not the first fighter not to pay the sanctioning fees. Carlos Baldomir is the reason that Floyd Mayweather was not undisputed, because Carlos Baldomir, after he beat Zab Judah, he refused to pay the sanctioning fees. And he got stripped of his belt. So when Floyd Mayweather fought against Carlos Baldomir, okay, Floyd Mayweather fought for the unified belts, but he wasn't undisputed because Carlos Baldomir vacated the belt. Okay? For the people that said Floyd Mayweather never became undisputed, well, that was one of the reasons why. Okay? That was one of the fights he would have been undisputed in, but Carlos Baldomir decided to vacate the belt and not pay the sanction fee. With that said, this is not something new. Okay, this has happened in the past. With that said, Terence Crawford decided after the fight, he ain't paying the extra sanctioning fees, okay? And I did the video earlier in which I played the clips of past fighters having issues with these sanctioning fees, period, okay? So Terence Crawford took that stance after he beat Saul Canelo Alvarez, and now the WBC is claiming that he won't be allowed to fight against their champion, so on and so forth, right? They're greedy. They're greedy. They're talking about I explained this. You got to go watch the other video. I explained how Terence Crawford fought Israel Majmov for the WBA title, and they made him the WBC interim champion, and he needed to have pay fees on that. At the same time, Sebastian Fundora is fighting against Tim Tszyu in the unification, well, for the vacant WBC and the WBO title, and they have to pay for that, sanction fees for that. So they're getting paid off for two separate fighters, but only one champion. Nonetheless, now Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn comes out. Now, he's been against Terence Crawford this entire time. Terence Crawford has dominated Eddie Hearn's fighters, from Ricky Burns all the way up to Israel Majmov, where he tried to complain that Majmov was robbed in the fight, right? Eddie Hearn has shown his true colors. When you with Eddie Hearn, you the best thing since sliced bread. When you not, he can't stand you, right? You the worst thing, like molded bread, okay? Like 2-year-old molded bread. That's how he treats you. Look how he's doing Devin Haney. When he was with Devin Haney was the greatest thing since sliced bread. As soon as Devin Haney went about his own way, Devin Haney became the worst thing since 2-year-old molded bread, right? This is why Chris Eubanks Jr. has an issue with Eddie Hearn, okay? With that said, Eddie Hearn is asked about this, and Eddie Hearn disrespects Terence Crawford to the utmost, in my opinion, and said that Terence Crawford actions is equivalent to going to a restaurant you can't afford, ordering lobster and steak, or whatever he said, caviar, lobster and caviar, and running out on the bill. No, it ain't. As Terence Crawford stated, Terence Crawford said he never told them that he was made a deal with them outside of the original fees that he have to pay. Like Crawford said, they think they stand above all the other sanction bodies, right? So with that said, first and foremost, Terence Crawford paid fees. He was undisputed at 140, so he didn't pay the fees then. He was undisputed at 147. He didn't pay the fees then. So he paid the fees, right? And he paid the cost to be the boss. Eddie Hearn, he paid the cost to be the boss. What fees are you paying? Now, somebody need to tell me what fees is Eddie Hearn as the promoter paying for his involvement with these fights? Is there fees that Eddie Hearn is paying for his involvement with these fights? Because he's getting paid. What fees is he paying? With that said, it's disrespectful to refer to a fighter in that manner. He ain't run out on the bill. These fighters are waking up. Right? They're waking up. And they saying, hold on, man. Wait a minute. What am I paying you for? I'm paying you to promote your brand. Make that make sense. When you promoting somebody else's brand, they pay you to promote it. When you become a world champion, right? You got to pay to promote their brand. As Mike Tyson said, when Mike Tyson said, these belts is just trophies, and I got to pay all these fees for them. It's robbery. That's what Mike Tyson said. You heard what Floyd Mayweather said, Andre Ward, so on and so forth, right? You got to pay them to promote their brand. No, they should be paying you extra when you become a world champion. You should get a bonus. So then Eddie Hearn goes on to say, well, we ain't surprised that Terence Crawford acting this way because he's with Dana White and TKO. And the shot at Turki Al-Sheikh, His Excellency. I told y'all, man. I told y'all before. Right? Eddie Hearn plays the game with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, but he really don't want to. Like he said, he wanted to be the biggest thing in the sport of boxing. That was his goal. And Turki Al-Sheikh took that goal away from him. And every chance he get, he throw little shade at Turki Al-Sheikh, His Excellency, right? So he's talking about Terence Crawford is with TKO and that whole group of men over there, and you see how they do business. When Terence Crawford signed the TKO boxing, him and Canelo, so Canelo is there with them, right? Remember, when Eddie Hearn was dealing with Canelo Alvarez was the greatest thing since sliced bread. As soon as Canelo Alvarez went in a different direction, guess what? Eddie Hearn started telling the world how he's old, he got to fight somebody, he ain't the same guy. Like Dante Boxing always say, the worst thing to put in front of people, the worst thing that happen to people that are untruthful is a microphone and a camera. Because the receipts are still there. Period. And Dante ain't never lied when he said that. The Eddie Hearn couldn't tell the world enough how much he loved and was in love with Canelo Alvarez. And as soon as Canelo Alvarez parted ways with Eddie Hearn, oh man, he's old. He needs to fight somebody. He's got to prove himself. He ain't the same guy no more. Man, nasty work. Nasty work. Now Terence Crawford ordered caviar and lobster and steak and couldn't afford the bill and ran out on the bill. Is nasty work, man. That's a terrible example to, to describe Terence Crawford's actions and stance on this whole sanction body. Paying 12% to be undisputed to these sanction bodies is terrible. 300,000 to one sanction body? Come on, man. For what? What is Terence Crawford paying $300,000 to the WBC for? For what? And then Eddie Hearn says, well, he pranced around the ring and showed off the belt and was happy to have the belt, knowing all along he had no intentions of paying the fees. He shouldn't have to pay a fee to begin with. Nasty work, man. But I'm not surprised at all, and nobody else should be surprised by these comments. But let me know what y'all think, man. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm gone. Peace.